Coach, if you can please just give us a brief analysis of the match from your perspective.
Yeah, we had a good start to the game, I felt. Applied ourselves the way we really wanted to apply ourselves tactically. I think we knew that Pirates would come with a high press, with a front four of Mabasa, Saleng, Mufokeng and Maswangai. And I think that we had figured a way to come out of that high press. And in the first half, that was visible, that we came out of the build-up very, very easily. And I think we caught Pirates unaware or not prepared for the movements that we made. I think in the first few minutes, maybe good build-up, good progression in midfield, let down in the final third a couple of times, couldn't really get the combination, couldn't get the third man run. Snotolo, not his usual self. But I think from the pressure that we mounted on Pirates from a possession perspective, we were rewarded with a goal, second ball from the set piece, which we've also worked hard on the set pieces, because we remember that last season when we played Pirates, they had challenges dealing with our set pieces, our corner kicks and our free kicks. I think after we scored, in the last 20 minutes we picked up that Pirates had adjusted to bring Van Rooyen in to match the numbers in the midfield from a defensive perspective. We had the problem of Saleng, more a positioning problem from Modise, that we knew that Saleng was always going to drop and look for the ball in behind. And the instruction was to allow him to get the ball fit and rather have him run at us, because it's easier to deal with him in that way. But we had that struggle on that side. And in central midfield, we had Andile on that side. And he struggled to help him to cover, to create a 2 versus 1 defensively, because we had Ayako Nobe as a false winger, cheating on that side so that we could have numerical superiority in central midfield. So you expect Pirates to come back. They've played, I think, 6-7 games, competition games. It's our first one. We haven't had enough games in preseason, so we knew that we were going to lose legs. But we lost Andile Jali just before halftime. Hamstring, he complained of his hamstring, and we just asked him to hold on until halftime. And his substitution really gave us a tactical challenge, because we had to drop Aya into central midfield, and then we brought in an out-and-out winger. And we struggled with the build-up because we could not create the block that we wanted in midfield, because it needed now to come from either Sergio Camis or Modise, but none of them really went in there. So I think in the second half, it's a question of we lost that continuity in terms of our possession play. I think defensively we were okay, except for the Saleng situation with Modise. We were relatively okay defensively. And second half, the moment we lost Andile, we lost the shape, then Pirates came at us more. And we felt that the substitutions that we made, we were hoping that they would lift the speed of attack, the pressing, but it didn't happen that way, you know. Disappointing to concede in the final minute of the game, when you've brought Justice to have 3 centre-backs, and then they get across with 3 people free on the far pole. So disappointing goal to concede, but I think it was a brave performance from our team, a very good start. And I think we can only build from this. You know, we know that we've had a tough preseason in terms of not getting competition, but I think the way we play brings out the best in most of the players, and we have a lot of youngsters that we need to introduce slowly. So yeah, good game. We take the loss on the chin. We know what we need to go and do. We're struggling at the moment with a little bit of depth in certain positions, but it's not excuses. I think we played well enough to maybe even try and wrap the game up in the first half. But I think what showed in the second half was a lack of match fitness. And then we just had to absorb, and it's always going to be difficult.
We'll now open for questions from the floor. As per normal, we've got a roving mic. Please identify yourself as well as the media company represented prior to asking a question. Are there any questions?
Coach Kwanele from the CBC, hard luck on the result. And just on Jali, besides the goal, I was just observing him, how he was directing play, and obviously he was always going to lose the legs in the situation. But just tell us how he's been in the dressing room and the influence that he has in this team.
Yeah, as you say, you can see, he's been massive for the club. Since he's joined us, Andile has trained very hard. After a couple of months of no activity at all, having left Swallows in November, when we started pre-season, he's been in the training an hour before everybody else in the gym. He's not 100% yet, but because of the challenges we have in central midfield, we felt that even if he gave us 60 minutes, we were hoping that he could give us 60 minutes of leadership, and we knew with him we would be able to be on the ball more. So we've got a young star playing centre back, Tabang Maloa. He hasn't played much, and we needed an Andile to guide our build-up, to give these youngsters confidence, to help Majorojo Baraka, not good with communication, struggling with English. So Andile is going to play a massive role in the team, and I'm so happy for him that he scored, because so many people would have probably expected the worst. People say, he's going to come back, maybe overweight and all that. But I think the quality shows that is there, and I think the fitter he gets, the stronger he's going to make us become. So his influence is massive for us. He's the coach on the field that we need, and I think he's going to help the team really going forward, together with Stanley, with Justice, and with Eva up front. They form the spine of the team, really.
Joseph Sports Coach, hard luck on the result. A young Teto, he came in and he had some, threatening runs. Just tell us, how have you dealt with him, having, left TS Galaxy, coming through to you, dealing with this young man? What is his attitude like towards the squad, towards the team, and towards his own game? Because some of us were told that he's not sure about what he's doing. He's a good player, but he doesn't put his effort.
Well, Teto went from TX Galaxy to Livingston in Scotland. He was unable to play in Scotland because of work permit issues. So he had a lot of training there, not really games. We brought him. He was offered to us also to be able to give him game time. Very exciting talent, very promising talent, but one that still needs to be polished. Tactically, he needs a lot of work. At the moment, he relies maybe a lot more on his individual ability. I think you could see a couple of times on his first touch, he wanted to run all the time. So it's you need to teach him orientation to understand the spaces he's in. We played him as a 10. We've been training the entire pre-season playing him on the right wing. And the last couple of weeks, we decided to play him as a 10 because he scores at training, every single training session. He's banging in the goals in the small-sided games. So we felt that he could give us that impetus coming in as a number 10, because Snow was offish today in the game today. It's not Tolo Kwaiba. So he's one that's still developing. I think very good attitude towards training, open to learning. I think the fact that he comes from the Eastern Cape also presents that there's no language barrier. A lot of the kids, we can speak to them in their own language. And with youngsters, sometimes that's important because they get threatened or intimidated by a number of things. So he's one that we think is going to get better and better. There is a lot that has to come from him, but there's still some work that needs to be done. He was promoted on individual talent, but obviously to stay at professional level and sustain it, and I talk from experience of having worked a lot with youth, to stay at professional level and sustain it, it needs more than just the individual talent. It needs the tactical discipline, it needs the physical effort and the physical strength. I don't know if you saw in the second half, I had a go at him quite aggressively because I felt that he was not pressing, and he had just come on and I said to him, "You are fresh and you need to press." And he was saying to me, "No, I'm man marking," but I said, "No, we don't man mark. We do ball-oriented pressing." So he's still developing. He's going to learn, but he's got a good attitude, and I think we need to be a little bit patient with him.
Coach, times. Just to follow up on his question, when we found Appollis, that was his career was kind of going away, but away from super sport. He was always a talented kid. Can you see maybe some similarities where you can, wait and or make a player believe into their talent and everything? become a consistent player? Obviously, when the career is kind of, going in a downward spiral.
That's the purpose, with a player like Teto. I think he's too good a talent to be lost to South African football. The same I said to Oswin when I phoned him to come back and play football after sitting 2 years doing nothing. So two a little bit different players, but a similar story, in that he has a youngster, he has a promising talent in South Africa that we need to mold, that we need to nurture. And I think the response we've been getting from him so far has been positive. So yes, we are hoping that we can have another positive story, another positive ending for Teto, moving back abroad and getting to play, being able to get into the national teams. That's very, very important. And his attitude has been positive. And I think there's a few in the team that we need to do that. Azola Matrose, he came to Pirates, didn't have the best of times. We've got this youngster that came on, Baloni from Pretoria Kelly's, the left winger. You can see the athleticism in him. So there's quite a few youngsters. Giovanni Philander from Cape Town, ABC Motsipe team. There's a few youngsters that we need to develop to that level. Hopefully, we make examples about Oswin. I make examples about Ronwen. And hopefully these stories will sink into them. But so far, the response from them has been positive. And I'm hopeful and I'm very confident that with the way we are going, we're going to see much better of these youngsters, and they will be probably close to the level, if not the same level, of what Oswin is delivering for Polokwane City and Bafana Bafana.
We'll take the final two questions.
Coach, Sia from Kickoff, I just wanted to ask regarding Azola Matrose, you decided against him today. Is it tactical? How far off is he from full fitness and from the Matrose that we know?
Yeah, Azola joined us on the 17th of last month, which was way into pre-season. And when he joined us, he was left with 2 weeks of rehab. So he was still doing rehab from an injury that he had at Pirates. So the first 2 weeks, he didn't really train with us. So we were up here in Joburg for a camp to play friendly games, and that's when he joined us. He didn't feature in any of those friendly games because he was doing rehab. So Azola has only trained maybe the last 3 weeks, We brought him here also from a psychological perspective, that he's played for Orlando Pirates. If the opportunity was there to put him in, we would have liked to put him in. But with the intensity of the game, we had the talk on the bench about putting him in. But the challenge we had was that we had already made substitutions in the positions that he would come in and play, because Azola either plays left wing, number 10, or right wing. So we had Sitole coming in. We had Azola Ntsabo coming into midfield. We had Teto coming in. So the only option that was left was to take Eva out and put Azola in. But then we felt that the height of the team is going to drop, because Eva also helps us for set pieces. So yes, the plan was that we would hopefully give him a few minutes in the game, but the situation in the game did not allow us to do that. So when we took out Eva, we had to bring in Justice. And it would not have been nice to take out one of the three, Ntsabo, Teto, or Stole, who had just come in at halftime. So we were hoping that we can load minutes in him through these games. The same with Justice Chabalala. He had chickenpox during preseason, missed the camp, didn't play any competitive game in the preseason, and that's the reason he started on the bench, because we felt that he didn't have the sharpness. But with Azola, he's in the plans of the team going forward, and he's definitely going to feature more. But he needs a little bit of time and fitness because he joined us late.
Final question.
From Coach, next up is Richard's play at home. Will you be maybe tempted to change anything going to the game after the loss today?
Well, first we have to see if Andile is available for that game, Jali, with his hamstring injury. But also we've got Spepelo Baloni that had to sit out the game today because he's come on loan from Orlando Pirates. So he becomes available. We've got a few youngsters that are going to join us. Fiso Mazibuko, that's going to join us in East London, Samgelo Jali. So we have to assess the players tonight and tomorrow. We're traveling tomorrow straight to East London. And then I think on Friday, there will be 1 or 2 changes definitely in the team. We've already had that discussion because there's too many games to play. We've got 4 games in 10 days. And Chippa, having not had competitive pre-season games, if we play the same lineup in these 4 games, we're not going to last in every single game. So we are going to need to refresh. Tactically, probably also, we're going to change a little bit. Today, the tactics were for Orlando Pirates in a 4-3-3 system. Richards Bay play 4-3-3, but drop into a 4-4-2 Diamond in defending. So it's a different kettle of fish, a different quality of players also, and they've also only played one game. So there will be a few changes. Jali we have to assess, Notolo we have to assess, but Baloni will definitely come into the squad, into the team to feature on Saturday.
Thank you, Coach. We'll be back shortly with the parents and Coach. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach.